we're so back. It's January 26th today. January 26th? No, it's January 6th, and it's 2026, which is exactly 1 year ago to this very day that I perished in Coronation Street. Apologies if you've come from the TikTok, but well, not apologies. Who am I apologizing? Shut up, bro. I am basically giving you an insight into my mindset and my mind state at the time of Corrie, because I basically splurged it all out onto about probably 8 pages, 9, 10 pages last night on my phone. And I really think it'd be helpful to share with some people, because firstly, it demystifies this whole thing of like, oh, if you have a certain modicum of success, you're entitled to, like, you're going to be so happy. And I think that's an important, like, bubble to burst. Secondly, for anyone pursuing acting, pursuing any great endeavor, there might be lessons in here that you can kind of pick and apply, you know. And even on a smaller basis, on a smaller level, there's a lot of mental health things that kind of can be helpful to people, you know. If I can share that and I can be honest with you guys, it's a difficult thing to do for me, then maybe it might help you guys do the same. So here it is. Maybe this is just a thinly veiled therapy session with a camera. I don't know. Yeah, so I wrote it all down. I'm going to read little excerpts from it, just because I think it's raw, bro. Like, if I say it to you, I'm gonna filter certain stuff. If I just read it, then that's that, and we can annotate like we do in class. So I entered Corrie in an up period of my life is how I began this extract. No partner, no commitments, no real test, and I remember thinking I'd overcome anxious swings. So all throughout my childhood, all throughout my life, bro. What do you mean childhood? I'd had anxious swings of, like, basically like obsessions. I don't know if you want to call it OCD. So I was convinced that I had a brain tumor. So like health anxiety was a massive thing for me. Then it was kind of like social anxiety, like, yeah. So it's been different things at different times in my life, but I've always kind of had this bubbling current of anxiety that I struggled with. And I'm not going to blame my childhood, but there was certain traits and coping mechanisms that I learnt in response to the stimulus of my environment, of my childhood. This isn't a boo, woe, who is me type thing. I'm just giving you context. That meant I was very vigilant, hyper vigilant, and very pessimistic, maybe. I mean, I was defensive, so I never thought anything good was gonna last. Right, I even remember getting my acceptance letter for my secondary school, which at the time was like a big thing, and I didn't think it was real, because like that's the level that we're talking about, because I had a very up and down, unpredictable childhood, so I kind of learned, like, I can't do this, right? So yeah, I was in a great place going into Corrie, like really good. I was like pushing myself. I was in a great mindset, which definitely contributed to me getting the role. But once you're in that state, new stimulus arises once you join Corrie, right? New scars can be picked at. And this is just a lesson for myself and for anybody entering something new within their life. Remove the expectation and the pressure to just for the whole process to be perfect, because I had that expectation, that pressure, and that was something that later on we'll talk about contributed to a huge amount of sadness, because there was this expectation that, oh, this is the best thing in the world. And yeah, in many aspects it was so incredible, but in other aspects I felt so anxious, so sad, and when you couple that with the expectation, you feel guilty. Now you feel hopeless. Oh, okay, well, if this hasn't fixed me and made everything better, then nothing in life ever will. So yeah, hopefully that burst that bubble for you. Yeah, I was floating on top, which felt great, but when the scars were prodded, anxiety came flooding back in. I've had, like I said, I've had anxiety manifest itself throughout my different health anxiety, social anxiety. Entering Corrie opened up those childhood wounds and out flooded anxiety. Basically, a fundamental concept I persuaded myself to believe to protect myself at an early age is nothing good ever lasts, therefore never get comfortable. So yeah, let me just scroll on because this bit's a bit waffly. I entered this bubble, and it was a bubble. It felt so pressurized, right? Corrie fans, I love you to bits. Very passionate, very, very passionate, very vocal, and definitely not afraid to speak their mind. Reminds me of Man United fans, to be honest, because it's been part of people's lives for so long, right? Couple that with the fact that now all people really asked me about was Corrie. All my basically my closest mates now were Corrie co-stars. It felt like a very big bubble where, like, I've just clocked my trim there, that's horrible. Anyway, a very big bubble that felt super, super important, and I definitely overemphasized how important it actually was and how big it actually was. It feels massive when you're in it, trust me. But then when you look on the outside in, it's just like, oh, it's just a soap star, like, chill out. And I was loving it. I loved Corrie to start with, like, absolutely adored it. The process was incredible. I was acting for a living. I could not quite believe it. And then one TikTok of us three in the playground with the vape went viral on Corrie's TikTok, and it kind of, like, there was this scar here and it went like that and ripped open all of this neurosis. And kind of within, like, that evening, I think it just, all this anxiety came flooding over me, right? Kind of like over the honeymoon period. And I think, bro, like, the comments were horrific. They were saying, like, the acting's rubbish. And to be fair, the acting was not the best. Like, coming from my appearance, the way I sounded, like, thousands and thousands of comments. And this was a massive shock because you just entered into a complete different world and it's gone 0 to 100. Got so bad that pretty sure Corrie deleted it. So thank you for that. But, you know, like, they did prepare me for this type of stuff, but nothing can kind of really prepare you until you're in it. So, yeah, I put 5 million plus views, 1,000 comments ripping into my acting appearance. I'd convinced myself they were going to get rid of me as a result of this TikTok because I was such a shit actor. That's truly what I believed, and that was now my obsession, right? So everything from my childhood had come into play, right? Oh, good things don't last, this, that, the other. I was convinced they were going to recast because they thought I was rubbish. I've been found out I'm a rubbish actor. And I was like, how can they not when there's thousands of comments saying it? And bear in mind at this time it was only a 3-month contract, so it was not like series regular at all. And I thought, right, that's it, they're gonna get rid of me, and that's it. You'll never work again. You can't even do a bit on Corrie. Like, and that's honestly, that's what I convinced myself. So every day, I quote, every day I walked into work and I thought, that's it. They know I'm a fraud and can't act. Eventually, my agent called me around to his house to catch up. I was convinced that they were gonna he was gonna say, right, they've axed the contract, and he told me that they had renewed it, and I was like, what the hell? And this is just an interesting point to note. Like, it was a momentary relief, but even with that relief of them renewing it, I still couldn't trust the goodness. Like with the letter of my secondary school, I was still like, okay, they've renewed it because they want it. Like, you make excuses, they've renewed it because they want certain such and such for this storyline. Like they want you to just finish off this little bit, and then they're just gonna get rid of you, and the dream's gonna be over, and that's it. So, like, it was momentary relief, but after that, your brain gets to work, and if you do not fight, do not fight is probably the wrong word. If you do not diagnose the underlying reasons and causes for this, like, paranoia and this worry, your brain will always find ways to kind of convince you and look for, it's called the reticular activating system. It's a part of your brain that's basically a confirmation bias, right? So your brain will look for signs of whatever you believe internally. And because internally I believed, like, I wasn't enough, that good things don't matter, and I hadn't addressed them, it kept looking for that evidence, right? Yeah, so I was waking up just feeling anxious, like the dream's going to be over, that I wasn't enough, I was a shit actor. and my dream was going to be crushed. Now this, oh man, this is actually quite hard to say. That kind of like spiraled, like it spiraled because once you feel that anxious, you look for like coping mechanisms, and that just spurs it on. And to be honest, I felt so hopeless that I was living in what should have been the best time of my entire life, but had turned into mental torment. In addition, it was the additional hopelessness that I would never be satisfied, never be allowed to enjoy nice things. I know this pattern existed for years, and this just cemented it. I felt hopeless, and I was probably drinking a bit too much, going out too much, and that didn't help the anxiety at all. That I was just this rubbish actor, and then couple that with like turning up to set just feeling anxious as hell, and like masking it like pretty well as well, because I don't think anyone would ever know this. That my life, no matter external incredible circumstances, I was still out of reach of that ever elusive happiness, contentment and peace. If I couldn't enjoy this incredible thing now, I would never be able to, for the rest of my life, enjoy anything else. I was just that rock bottom, really like rock bottom, because my performances weren't really improving. And when I look back, it's like, you would have been given a second chance on something else if they thought you were that bad. Do you know what I mean? But in that moment, it feels so real. Like, all I thought about was my performances. I would rewatch them over and over and over and over again. How can I improve? How can I improve? How can I improve? And just constantly worried. They're going to think I'm rubbish. They're going to think I'm rubbish. They're going to get rid of me. And just rocking up to set with that in your head, it's not going to produce good work. So the cycle just continues, right? And I hit a breaking point. I was sat in Total Fitness car park, staring ahead, prolonging the car experience as to not start working out. I then searched motivational playlist, and up popped a Christian sermon compilation about faith and hope in the face of anxiety. I clicked on it, and it was like someone had wrapped their arm around me, like someone had let me see in colour for the first time. It was a completely novel feeling, something I can only compare to returning to your parents' home after being away for a long time, or moving out for the first time and coming back. It felt like I needed to be there, I belonged to be there. So naturally, I was Christian, I was raised Christian, I went to Christian school, Catholic school, but like, naturally you deviate, and I hadn't prayed in so long, and I was at this point where I was just a mess. It was like my dream was collapsing in front of me in my head. The performances were so rubbish, everyone hated me. Like, when I was when I was out and about in like wherever I was, obviously you've got this newfound attention as well. People are staring at you, people are asking for pictures, and I was thinking, he thinks I'm a rubbish actor. He's seen the TikTok of me acting like this. Like, it was just this horrible like thing that just didn't stop. And then also on top of that, the fact that I'd let my family down. I let my family down with these awful performances. I felt so embarrassed, right? Anyway, naturally I began to pray, and I felt like I was thrown a lifeline. And obviously when you have that feeling, your proclivity is then to go to church to pursue that feeling. The first time I returned, bear in mind I hadn't been to church in a long time, I felt that same feeling again of coming home, but this time more intensely. So much so a tear came to my eye. I was slowly bursting the bubble. This allowed the weight of importance I placed on worldly things to slowly begin to lift. It was a realization that there is more to life, and there is a God that loves you and protects you. He protected me, and I truly believe that to this day. I cannot describe to you the anxiety, like the nasty thoughts that were lifted when I realized that there's such a powerful, all-loving, all-encompassing God. It just completely perspectivized the scale of the anxiety, the scale, and to be honest, the reality of it as well. Like, looking back, I can see, yeah, I was a pretty rubbish actor, but like, I improved eventually. But like, if they did recast, it wouldn't be the end of the world. If they didn't extend the contract, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You didn't have to keep worrying about it. constantly because I was so wrapped up in this whole thing. This was my one shot. And yeah, like you can look back on it now and it's just like the same. Looking back on it now, I've got that same perspective that it gave me in that moment, right? Naturally, with this newfound revelation, as with any loving father-son duo, you do not want to damage that bond. So consecutively, you understand that the habits, the things I was doing to numb the feelings of anxiety, damaged that bond, and why they damaged that bond. So quit all the bad habits, going out drinking a lot, and all the things that simultaneously have been stimulating the anxiety and burrowing me further into a depressed, hopeless state, pretty much. So because it's a negative feedback loop, I stopped it because I didn't want to hurt that relationship anymore. There was a moral compass above me now that was telling me, okay, do not do these things. They are bad for you. They damage your relationship with God. And some of that, to be honest, like the best decision I've ever made in my life. Like in my life. Even if you do not believe in God, just some of the teachings, just pretend. Just pretend for now and just see what happens, because the wisdom, it saved me, man. It really did. And it was good. It was a really good time. Anyway, I'm waffling on. Skills have been equipped. Pick up the pieces. So yeah, that was kind of the crux of it, really. This is all just kind of jumble that wouldn't make sense to you lot. There's more, but yeah, that was the crux of it. And from that moment, I just kind of gave my life to God, essentially. And it was tricky to start with, but what I noticed was that the more I placed trust in Him, the more I removed these habits, the more I pursued God, the more calm I was on set. And irrespective of anything else, that was a godsend. Sorry, the flipping camera died. I can't even remember what I was up to. Look, I'm gonna end it and just express my gratitude to you, like you watching this video, because the odds are you were from the Corrie days and you did support me in some type of way. So genuinely, thank you so much for being on that journey with me. Don't take everything that I've said today as gospel. I am so far from perfect. I'm just trying my very best with each day to improve myself as a human being. I hope it didn't come across too preachy at all, because I'm so far away from getting it all figured out. I can just show you the progress. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do as a human being, is strive to be a better person tomorrow. So God bless you. Thank you for watching. And chase your dreams.